This presentation on key competencies in academic writing is brought to you by the Academic Writing Centre of TU Dublin. The importance of writing for academic success. Writing is an essential skill for researchers and students to develop. Good writing clearly communicates ideas to researchers and peers. Writing clearly and logically enables research ideas and outcomes to disseminate through the academic community. Lack of clear writing might lead to research being ignored. Writing, thinking, and learning. Writing, then, is an opportunity to strengthen your thinking ability and to extend your mind, to gain a wider view of a subject, to personal engagement with the world of ideas, even to make the unknown interesting. Writing is a natural, inseparable part of learning, providing clarity to thinking and solidity to knowing. Writing involves the collection and organization of ideas and thoughts, the analysis of statements and evidence, and the comparing and contrasting of conflicting claims. All of these activities help you learn about a subject. From Harris. Thinking, analyzing, organizing, reasoning, using examples, exposing fallacies. All these and many others are the writing skills that will allow you not just to survive, but to flourish. Presentation outline. Paragraphs, function and structure. Introducing sources, quoting, citing, paraphrasing, summarising, synthesising, and a look at referencing styles. Paragraphs, function and structure. A paragraph is a unit of writing which details one point with a logical flow. It contains an introductory sentence, the main point in 2 or 3 sentences, and a concluding sentence, which segues into the next point. Paragraph function. Hayot points out that the paragraph is the unit of a single idea. The topic sentence states the main point of the paragraph. The content then follows with further evidence, explanation, exemplification, and elaboration in 2 or 3 sentences. A conclusion. This sentence then wraps up the paragraph and connects to the next. The paragraph structure can be seen with this diagram. It contains the topic sentence. What is the point? You then go on to explain and clarify the point you made in the topic sentence in 1 or 2 sentences. Evidence is provided to back up your main point using quotations, statistics, examples, and illustrations. Paragraph example. First, we'll the analysis. In the following paragraph about nurses and management, note the use of an introduction sentence, highlighted in blue, in-text references, paraphrases, short and long direct quotes, highlighted in red, connecting words, highlighted in purple, and a conclusion sentence to support the writer's argument. The example. A number of problems associated with the traditional routines of handover practices have been identified. Baldwin and McGuinness find that many handovers are unnecessarily lengthy, which means that there is an unacceptable period of time during each shift when nurses are not available in the ward or unit. Another area that has received attention is the content and presentation of handover information. Wills observes that an unprofessional approach has been noted among some nurses with derogatory comments about patients or their families. Lastly, there is an issue of what information nurses actually pass on during the handover. It appears that nurses frequently report on their own activity over the shift rather than providing patient-centred information. Information obtained from discussions with relatives is rarely relayed onto other nursing staff. And of the patient information reported, most is described from a medical perspective rather than focusing on the discussion of nurses' related information from the professional nurse. Thus, many serious problems have been identified in traditional handover practices, which may reflect on the professional standing of nurses in this profession. This sample taken from the Academic Writing Centre at the University of New England. Introducing sources. Definition. Acknowledging the sources of information in your writing. This can be done through quoting, citing, paraphrasing, summarising, and synthesising. Why do writers need to learn these skills? Reasons to incorporate sources in our academic writing. Harris outlines the following reasons. To provide context. The first function of the use of sources, then, is to provide background information. To strengthen your argument. Using and citing sources demonstrates that you can think and argue along with scholars and other professionals, and that you are able to interact with the ideas connected to your subject. To generate new ideas. Another critical use of sources is to allow you to compare several different ways of thinking about an issue. To keep you up to date with the topic you are researching. To become more information literate, which is defined as the ability to locate, evaluate, and use information appropriately. Quoting. Quoting uses quotation marks to present the author's text verbatim and is one of the most effective citation strategies. Quotes are used when the original text is judged to be the best way to state a point. Direct quotes could be used as a standalone text, though using a quote requires an explanation. They cannot be used to fill a gap in your text. Writers can use an edited version of a direct quote. One can use ellipses to fill a gap in the original text that is not relevant. See paragraph example on previous slide. Citing. When citing from sources, you can either 1. Use the language of the paper to set out a comparison or a contrast against another paper. In this style, the author's name appears in parentheses with the publication date. The idea is set out and attributed to a paper. The language can then refer to a singular object. Or 2. You could also introduce the authors as actors into your story by including their surname in the text, with the publication date alone in parentheses. In this case, the authors are treated in the writing as people and are, therefore, protagonists in a story. It can often be easier to contrast ideas or different takes on an idea if each viewpoint is given a clear connection to an author in this way. In the former style, the paper is an object being spoken of, and in the latter, the authors are treated as people in the prose. This affects the writing strategies and the language employed. Examples of these source inclusion styles are found here. It has been argued that the fundamental meaning of the accepted definition is lacking a reference to the element of trust. Jones, 2010. Though several papers disagree on this point, Smith, 2014, Murphy, 2015. One paper stipulates that trust, in this case, is an arbitrary addition which does not merit inclusion in the metric. Mulligan, 2016. Both these arguments can be seen as coming from two incompatible, though valid viewpoints, if considered from the holistic position espoused by Murphy, 2015. Analysis. In this example, we see that the authorship of an argument is either from an author as a person, according to Murphy, 2015, or from a paper. One paper stipulates that trust, in this case, is an arbitrary addition which does not merit inclusion in the metric. Mulligan, 2016. Note that in the first example, the author's name is not within the parenthesis, and in the second, the author's name is within the parenthesis, indicating that the paper as an object is being referred to. Good writing includes both strategies. Paraphrasing. A paraphrase is the reordering of information in your own words. It should have approximately the same number of words as the original quote, though uses a different sentence structure and synonyms in place of some of the words. It is not enough to juggle the words around and to include some key direct quotes. This is called patch writing. Remember that each direct quote must be attributed to an author and quoted verbatim. A paraphrase is a description to your audience of your understanding of a particular quote. The original quote. Differentiation as an instructional approach promotes a balance between a student's style and a student's ability. Differentiated instruction provides the student with options for processing and internalizing the content and for constructing new learning in order to progress academically. From Walden University Academic Writing Center. A paraphrase. Teachers use differentiated instruction to help students learn, allowing the teacher to cater lessons to the way each student learns and each student's skill. Thompson, 2009. The analysis, then. The author is demonstrating their understanding of the meaning of this particular quote. The original is not especially clear, and so the paraphrase clarifies the meaning for the reader. The source is acknowledged in the text. For practice and correct paraphrasing and how to avoid plagiarism, please follow the link to the University of Leicester below. Summarising. A definition. Shorter distillation of a source's information. A summary is a condensed restatement or rewriting of a source in order to present the source's idea in a more focused way than quoting or paraphrasing would allow. In other words, a summary reduces a source's words into fewer of your own words. Harris. Summary. Jones, 2010, argued that electronic medical records, EMRs, make care for patients more reliable and thorough. The author cited many instances of medication mismanagement and lack of treatment records that could have been avoided when consistently applied EMRs. Jones, 2010. The evidence in the article was persuasive, but Jones did not address the training and implementation costs of such systems. What from Walden University Academic Writing Center. In this example, the summary indicates the researcher and the main points. For the original, please follow the link below. Summarising. Analysis. The author is here reducing the text so that only the relevant points are in focus. The original source is accurately referenced, though to quote or paraphrase would obscure the pertinent information from a larger and perhaps tangential text. Again, below is the link to the original text. Synthesizing. A definition. To include the thrust of an author's argument in your own. Harris defines synthesis as writing skillfully weaves your ideas and your sources into an integrated tapestry. Synthesizing. A successful synthesis of another author's work should enable the reader to immediately separate out each author's ideas and contributions to the story. As with citing, when synthesizing a source, a writer can use the names of other authors and treat them as actors in the narrative, or can include the publication as the object and therefore discuss concepts clearly. The concept of synthesis, though, includes the process of folding each contribution into a narrative whole, as opposed to merely name-checking. A certain amount of analysis and integration of the arguments espoused is an essential element of a synthesis. The example. Here we have a synthesis of research into the words of the author. Jones, 2011, argues that the fundamental meaning of the accepted definition is lacking a reference to the element of trust, though Smith, 2014, disagrees on this point, stipulating that trust, in this case, is an arbitrary addition which does not merit inclusion in the metric. Both these arguments can be seen as coming from two incompatible, though valid viewpoints, if considered from the holistic position espoused by Murphy, 2015. The analysis. In the example, the author is demonstrating a knowledge through a critical analysis of the sources. By folding the author's findings into the text, the writer is contributing to the conversation. Referencing styles. Lists of referencing. Many different referencing styles exist for different academic disciplines, including some of the more common ones, such as Harvard, APA, Vancouver, and Oscola. What it means. The difference between the named styles, which have been honed by different scholarly communities, can be quite small details, such as punctuation and information order. Why is this important? These differences are important for, among other things, search and classification functions. And that is one of the reasons that it is important to learn your relevant style correctly. Links to common referencing styles can be followed here. Conclusion. Key competencies in academic writing involve a number of important concepts. Firstly, how to write, structure, and to give a function to a paragraph is of vital importance to authors. Secondly, how to introduce sources into your writing by quoting, citing, paraphrasing, summarising, and synthesizing are skills that are necessary in progressing as a writer. And finally, understanding the importance of various referencing styles and of the particular style used in your academic field is indispensable. Thank you. We hope that you have found this resource useful and informative. If you would like to see more information about any of the points covered here, please see our website at www.dit.ie/awc. You can book an appointment with one of our tutors to help with various writing tasks using this link. For more information, email us at academicwritingcentre@tudublin.ie.